Good morning. My name is Robbie Hutchins, and I'm the Area Forestry and Wildlife Extension Agent for the LSU Ag Center in the Central Region. Today we're going to talk about some tips that will help you select an arborist to do any tree improvement work out on your property. The first tip may seem obvious, but it's necessary. Make sure you're dealing with a licensed professional arborist. No matter what it says on their truck or on their business card, there is one source to determine whether or not a person or entity is licensed to do arborist work in the state of Louisiana. The Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, on their website, has a list of certified arborists for the parish where they're located. If they're not on the list, they are not a certified arborist in the state of Louisiana. Many people find out after the fact that the arborist they thought was an arborist was not really an arborist. The second thing you need to do is to get as many bids as you can get for tree work. I personally recommend you get at least 3 bids in writing where that the arborist can bid on the same thing. For example, this tree had some damage that was a result of Hurricane Laura. This landowner was able to do the work himself because he owns the equipment and has the experience necessary. But in the case of most folks, we don't have that ability, knowledge, or equipment. So if he would have to get a professional arborist, you would need to get several bids to make sure that the bids were equal. What I mean by that is you're bidding on the same thing. So putting that bid in writing assures that you're getting what you're paying for. The next step is for you to select an arborist. I always recommend, if possible, you ask for references and call those references, especially references where the arborist has done work fairly recently. That lets you know that whoever you pick will be a good person that will do good quality work for you and will help maintain the health of your tree and the safety of any structures that may be on your property. The next step is to get a certificate of insurance from that arborist. This, unfortunately, is a step most people overlook. But in the state of Louisiana, arborists are required to have insurance. Once you get the certificate, then you examine the certificate to make sure the arborist has the insurance that you, as the landowner, prefer. If you've never seen a certificate of insurance, it's very simple. At the top left-hand corner, there is the name of the agent and agency that issued the certificate. And then there's 3 categories on that certificate. The first category is liability insurance. How much liability do you need or want for anybody doing work on your property? If the tree is out in a remote location in the middle of a field, you can require less liability insurance than one that may be located adjacent to your house or your neighbor's house. Make sure that that liability limit is what you need. The second category is automotive insurance. Make sure that the arborist has automotive insurance for hired, owned, and non-owned autos that might be used in the course of business to conduct the arborist work on your property. The final category of insurance is workman's comp. By Louisiana law, the arborist is required to have workman's comp on any and all of his employees. Make sure that workman's comp is listed on that certificate. Then remember I told you that at the top left-hand corner of that certificate, there is the name of the agent and the agency that issued the certificate. Take the 5 minutes necessary to call and verify that the arborist insurance is in force and will be in force and valid on the date of the scheduled work on your property. This is very important because sometimes even good people forget to pay an insurance premium because they get busy on their normal course of duties. If the insurance is not in force and is not valid, then it does you no good to have a certificate. Make sure it will be in force and be valid when the work is being done on your property. That could save you lots of headaches in the future. Then you select the arborist. By Louisiana law, a licensed arborist has got to give you a contract listing what's going to be done and the price for each thing. Be suspicious of anyone that does not have a written contract and does not ask you to execute a written contract. The next vital step is, once the contract is issued, understand that you do not have to do any kind of prepayment for services. That is another red flag, and unfortunately, in times like we've just experienced in Louisiana, where storm damage has ravaged many of our trees around our homes, unscrupulous people were coming in and asking for payment prior to doing the arborist work. Homeowners felt obliged to accommodate them because everybody in their neighborhood also needed tree work done. And unfortunately, there are many horror stories about how people took their money without providing the service. Never pay any money until all services are done according to your bid specs and what the contract says. So let's recap what we've talked about on how to select an arborist. First of all, you want to check the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry's website, or call their office, the local office of the Department of Ag and Forestry, or the Baton Rouge office, to ask to make sure you're dealing with a licensed professional arborist. Second of all, always get multiple bids and make sure those bids are in writing. Third, make sure you ask for references. Fourth, check the certificate of insurance to make sure the insurance is valid, enforced, and has all the policy limits you require. And fifth, never pay for services until the job is complete. Remember, here at the LSU Ag Center, we're here to serve you as the citizens of Louisiana. If you have any questions about how to select an arborist, or if you have any tree care questions, please contact your local LSU Ag Center office.